There is no one right answer for what welder to purchase when you want to create metal art. It's just completely dependent on what you want to create, how you want to create it, and distant goals on like what your ultimate dream is. When I started out creating metal art, I knew that I needed to create art, like I needed to breathe. And so for me, I had very little income at the time, and so every single penny mattered, as it probably does with most of us here. And I just needed to weld. I needed to weld art, and so I went and I got the least expensive welder that I could get that I felt had the most diverse ability. And for me, that was, and I still have it, I pull out the little red wagon. This is my Lincoln 140C. Like I said, I have only, and some random motorcycle parts because upgrades, baby. So I got the Lincoln, however, and this is my opinion, any 110 welder, any 110 MIG welder that it runs on 110 electric, like a regular house plug, that takes gas, is, in my opinion, the least expensive and most diverse way to buy a weld, is the most diverse way to like create the widest variety of art for the least amount of investment initially. Now, I went with the Lincoln 140C. You can go right on Amazon or to Harbor Freight and get yourself the least expensive MIG welder that runs on gas. Make sure it's a gas welder. And you can totally weld the art that I'm welding with a flux core. I'm asked that all the time. Flux core welding is wonderful. However, I personally found it very difficult to see the puddle when I was using a flux core welder. And so I would recommend, and especially if you're new to welding, and even if you're not, I just would recommend the gas MIG, because it is the most diverse machine. You can weld everything from like little silverware pieces to like large masterpiece sculptures with a MIG, with a 110 MIG. Now, the wire that you use, it'll go from 023, 030, and 035. It'll run all three sizes of MIG wire. However, I personally recommend using the 030. It's right in the middle, and that 030 will allow you to weld you can weld actually thicker material than what the machine is rated for. I know a thing or two because I've done a thing or two. You can completely weld large masterpiece sculptures. And I'm talking about, like, I've got the tradesman back there. Now, and other pieces like I've got up here, you could see the leather jacket, the craftsman's table, the end stand there. You can weld large sculptures with this. However, because it's an air-cooled machine, it means that you're going to eventually, like if you're welding a lot for a long period of time, you'll hit a duty cycle, which means a machine will just stop working because it's so hot. In welding, the Statue of Liberty for the American Welding Society, I was actually running this machine, and I was having to leave the lead. I was having to leave the lead on my garage floor in front of my garage door where the cold air was coming in for it to cool off, for me to let the machine cool down enough to where I could actually go back to welding. Now, like I said, it's an inexpensive way to get started. Like I said, you don't have to go with a Lincoln. I think I paid $650 for this. I've had this machine for, I'm going to say 13 years now. I've had it for 13 years. Thank you. Oh my God, I'm so grateful for this. Literally how I built my shop. However, you can go and get a Harbor Freight MIG welder or a MIG welder that's on Amazon that runs on the 110. Again, I just find them so diverse in what they can weld. Now, like I said, gas machine and the 110. And by running the 030 wire, that's that middle of the road wire, as far as it's not the thickest it could take, it's not the thinnest. However, by the 130 or the 030, you can, because it's a thinner wire, it will melt at a lower temperature, which means you can melt it in. It'll melt in easier and you'll have to do a couple of passes with it because it's not as thick as the 035, but it'll melt at a lower temperature, giving you the ability to actually weld it into thicker material than what it recommends. I think it goes to 3/8, and I definitely have welded much thicker than 1/2 inch with it. It will definitely get you there. So highly recommend a 110. And there's links in the description here that will lead you to a couple of the welders I recommend. This is for diversity, and like if you're just getting started, and like I said, I ran this solid, and I'm talking about 7 days a week for the first 3.5 years of being full-time as an artist. 7 days a week. I mean, like it has, and it still completely works. Absolutely love this machine. If you are, and like again, what welder you're going to get is going to depend on what your vision of art that you want to create. This will weld the silverware sculptures. I mean, like literally how I welded all of my silverware sculptures, and with a thinner wire, you could, lower your settings and you can weld really thin material with this. Again, just super diverse. And so if you're on a budget and need to get, I need to go now, get yourself a 110. If you go with a 110 welder, if you go with a Harbor Freight machine, I've welded with, I had a TIG and a plasma cutter, both from Harbor Freight, which is the other 2 machines I started my business with. Get the insurance. Harbor Freight lets you have insurance. Get insurance. I've had very, very good luck with their machines. Your results may vary. So I prefer with Harbor Freight, any electronics, I get the insurance for it, but completely found both of the plasma cutter and the TIG welder I bought from Harbor Freight. I ran both of those for 3.5 years and then sold them both when I was done. Still completely working, and found them to be amazing machines. Really love them. Look, I'm not sponsored by anyone just because that name's on there. Like, I'm like Ricky Bobby, sponsored by me. the cougar on the front of the welder. But next, if this would be my first recommendation for on a budget. Like I said, name brand. I personally find I've ran, I'm going to say about six different names of welders. I personally find it's a person running the welder, not the machine as much, because with practice and with having the settings right, and I'm going to show you in a little bit on how to set your machine up right. I get people to ask me all the time what settings I use. And my settings aren't going to help you, but I got a tip for you. Hold still, hold fast. So number 1 would be a 110 MIG, my first choice for getting into welding art. My second recommendation, if you have a little bit more money to invest, I would get a multi-process machine, and that is a single machine that runs both MIG and TIG. This gives you the ability to take your art to the next level. A multi-process machine has both processes. It lets you put in a lot of material really fast with the MIG, and then become even more precise with the TIG. And like I said, if you run the 030 wire on a 110 MIG, you can get some serious accuracy with it. You can get some very serious accuracy. You can create a lot of really special details with it. However, with the TIG machine, it just allows you to create even more fine details, less heat into your material, less warping, more precise. And so having it would be an air-cooled, which just like this, air cools it. There's no water system that runs through it, but just a air-cooled multi-process machine. I am almost 100% sure that I did have was it a 210, a Miller 210, 211. It might have been a Miller 211. Don't quote me on this. It's been a minute, but it allows you to run either on 110, or you could change your plug out and then plug it into the 220, which gives you more power. So a multi-process would be my second choice. There is positives and negatives for every single welder that you will get. like I said, with the diversity of the ability to be able to weld many different, like I said, definitely get the 110. I really just loved this machine. It really just gave me it gave me the diversity in what I can create. The multi-process also does this. This is your, for a little bit higher budget, if you're coming in and you've got money saved up, and you've got the money for it, definitely with the multi-process machine, that is a wonderful option. The only downfall that I personally found is that you have to switch your gas back and forth from one to the other. So if you're bougie like me and you're moving back and forth between MIG and TIG on a single project, that is definitely going to, it's definitely gonna slow down your process. However, it's still just such a great ability to be able to go back and forth between the two. If you are not on a budget like I am, and this has taken me a while, I'm gonna swing my partner around here. If you are not on a budget, then these would be the dream machines right here. So I have a water-cooled TIG machine, which means that if I hit the duty cycle on this, man, I am a freaking rock star, because that definitely, I'm like, I have not hit the duty cycle on this machine yet. And it is like, when I get going on something, it's just kind of life goals. I'm cocky like that. And then I have a Pulse MIG. These are both Miller machines. I've been running these for the last, I think 6 or 7 years. Absolutely am in love with these machines. There's pretty much nothing they can do wrong, in my opinion. This is for the welder that is not on a budget. This is for the bougie of all of us that lets us do whatever you want. Like that right there would be life goals. If you don't have it, that's what you work up towards. All right. Which also, again, I still, like, should I not be in a position financially to be able to do something like that, I could still set this machine up today. In fact, I set this up in Sturgis and welded sculpture for Harley Davidson live during Sturgis a couple of years ago with this machine. I mean, it'll do anything. However, you have to have the patience in letting it cool down when you're welding the bigger sculptures. Okay, now I want to share with you, if I can move this stuff around, because I've got it all zip tied to here, because you got to take care of your precious. A second. For all y'all asking me, what settings for my machine? Here is the simple answer. Let's see if I could do this. Give me a break for it. All right. I'm going to bring you in here. Inside your welder, it should be in every welder, there is a chart here. And the chart lists what gauge material that you're welding. It lists the thickness of the wire across here, and then it lists the processes in here. This chart is a guideline, and it will get you started on how to set up your machine. You and I are completely different when it comes to welding. Everyone is. The speed in which you weld and the distance in which your lead is held away from your workpiece will actually change these numbers. So even if 10 of us are sitting here with this welder and all 10 of us have the same exact settings on it, our movements and our distance from it is going to change those settings. So to get started in your MIG welding, get yourself inside your welder, find the chart. It's literally in every single welder. Look at what material thickness, what wire thickness, and what material you're welding, and then what process you're using. And this is like whether you're using a push-pull machine with this, there's different stuff. But what you do is you use these settings to get yourself started. And then from there, you can fine-tune, which I've got them on the back, you can fine-tune your welder. So, hope this video helps. Again, I'm not sponsored by anyone. I don't care what welder you buy, like from what brand or whatever. I just want to share with you what my experience is. What worked for me. And the thing is, what works for me might not work for you. This might give you an inspiration to go and, find a different kind of machine. There's other stuff out there too. So I hope this helps, totally hope this helps. And I hope that you find inspiration in what I'm sharing. I have more than 150 videos here on YouTube teaching how to weld metal art. And I've moved into the behind the scenes kind of stuff and teaching. And I'm also, if you're making art and you want to sell it, I am doing a new series. I'm so excited about this. I'm doing a new series starting this Sunday night at 7 p.m. called The Artist's Guide. And this series is based on my book, The Artist's Guide to Branding, Marketing, and Selling Art Online. And this is where I'm going to sit down, and it's going to be live stream. And I'm so excited about that because then I get to interact with you and answer your questions. But each week I am going to show up with a new topic that is something that I have faced in my art business. I personally have found on my journey, I've been a full-time artist for 11 glorious and mostly sometimes scary but mostly glorious years. A lot of scary stuff. Oh my God. There's just so much to being a full-time artist, to being a business, which I didn't know in the beginning, that I have learned along my way, and I am now so excited to share it with you, not only in my book, The Artist's Guide, but in also just by doing this live stream. I don't know if it's a podcast or a vlog or whatever you kids are calling it these days. I don't care. It's me live on Sunday nights at 7, where I'm talking about different subjects that will help you, stuff that's helped me become a very successful full-time artist, stuff that I don't find anywhere online. I mean, I've looked for, like, if you look up branding, you're going to find branding for like these huge corporations, and branding as an artist is completely different. And so all these things that I found, I am joyfully sharing with you. I'm so excited about this new journey of mine. I just freaking love what I get to do. So hope that you will join me on this Sunday, 7 p.m. Eastern time. I'm in Florida, so Eastern time zone. And if you have any questions about whether it's how to weld art, the equipment that you need for art, or how to be successful in an art business, send it in the comments below or email me at barbie@barbiethewelder.com, and I will do everything in my power to get back a hold of you to answer that. And if I don't know the answer, because gosh, there's so much stuff I'm still learning, then I will help you find the person who can give you that answer. So if you are looking for any of my books, they are available in my website. You get personal signed copies, and I also have a couple of merch things and some stickers. BarbieTheWelder.com. Go check it out there, and you can follow me on social media and see what I'm working on my bench. What's my newest project? A little sneak peek up there that I'm so excited to get to. So be excellent to yourself. Be excellent to each other. Stay true. Live free, y'all. I love you.